This week on Up Close, Z-Corp, one of the area's largest employers, has been deliberately discharging toxic metals into the city's sewer.
Hi, this is Dave. I can't answer the phone right now. Leave a message at the beep.
Dave, this is Tom. Look, I know you're there. Just pick up the phone, will you? Okay, I'll call you back after the program. I know you're having some second thoughts, but you did the right thing.
Welcome to Channel 13's Up Close. I'm Maria Renato. This is the Dickinson Street plant of the City of Gilbane's water treatment system. It serves the industrial section of town. Here is where much of the city's wastewater ends up. Here is where our story begins. Several years ago, the Dickinson Street plant was being overwhelmed with toxic metals and solvents from the city's new and thriving high-tech industries. The facility could not remove the dangerous substances before they got into Gilbane's popular and profitable sludge product, Gilbane Gold, which has been sold as a fertilizer to farmers for 75 years. Because of the pollution problems, city legislators enacted new standards that are 10 times more restrictive than those of the federal government.
We've got an old house my granddad built.
Lloyd Bremen was the state commissioner of environmental protection at the time Gilbane passed its tough new laws. Laws which include jail sentences for company officials guilty of polluting. Retired now, Bremen has returned to the family farm, where, like his father before him, he uses Gilbane Gold.
High tech brings to mind the image of clean manufacturing plants. But this industry uses potentially dangerous chemicals. We felt that it'd be unfair for taxpayers to have to pay for the treatment of these industrial wastes, so that's why we helped the city write regulations requiring the companies to have to prove every month that their plants meet our specifications. And we sent the message that dumping very dangerous chemicals in our precious environment would not be tolerated.
Dr. Winslow Masson, professor emeritus at Hanover University's School of Engineering, suggests that as a society, we have become alarmist when it comes to pollution.
Engineering is a compromise. No product can be made both completely safe and affordable. There are always trade-offs. If a product becomes too expensive to produce because of restrictive regulations in one city, the company will move, which means loss of jobs and tax revenues. And let's not forget that we attracted companies like Z-Corp here 10 years ago with tax advantages and then saddled them with some of the strictest water pollution laws in the country.
This is Phil Port. These pictures are about a year old. He is a manager at the Z-Corp Gilbane plant. Environmental affairs is his responsibility. We interviewed Mr. Port back then for a Channel 13 news special on the explosion of high-tech businesses in the Gilbane area. At that time, he told us,
we here at Z-Corp hold the environment as a top priority. It's the only way I would take the job. We do business strictly by adhering to the law.
But company documents obtained just this week by Channel 13 News reveal that 1 year ago, at the time Mr. Port was making those statements, Z-Corp was regularly discharging toxic substances into the Gilbane sewer system. These documents allege that metals and other chemicals were being released in amounts greater than allowed by law. Numerous attempts have been made to contact Mr. Port and two other Z-Corp officials, Frank Cedars, the engineering manager, and Diane Collins, the vice president in charge of the facility. All have gone unanswered.
So, to make a long story short, after 2 weeks of full production, we should be able to reduce our back orders by 40%.
Let me get this straight. 2 weeks from now, 60% of the orders from last quarter will still be in the factory?
We're busting our tails down on that line. The fact is, despite our problems...
Corporate headquarters doesn't care about our problems, Frank. They just want it done. This is something you and I need to discuss later. All right, any other business?
There is one thing.
Oh, come on, David. I've got work to do.
Frank? What is it, Dave? What's so important?
Well, I've been getting results from Frank's wastewater discharge tanks that show we're releasing arsenic and lead at higher levels than the city allows.
We treat that water 10 different ways. Now, why are you just now finding out after, what, 6 years of testing without any problems?
I don't know.
Phil, did you know anything about this?
Nope. It's news to me.
I just noticed it this month. That's why I brought it up. I thought someone here might know something I don't.
David, these problems really need to be tackled first in your department. If actions are necessary, bring recommendations to these monthly meetings. Phil, perhaps you could lend David some of your expertise. We don't need any more problems on the chip line. As we all just heard, Frank has all he can handle. Look, people, it won't take much for that product line to become unprofitable. Phil, try and manage this problem, if there is one. All right, meeting adjourned.
I can't believe you, David. Bringing something like that up without even warning me?
I'm sorry, boss. But it was an engineering meeting, and I am getting higher levels from the discharge test than ever before. Levels that are consistently, if only a little, above what the city allows.
Have you factored in Frank's increased production?
Well, these results indicate we've been releasing too much for 6 months. Now, why hasn't the city gotten on our case?
This data's right on the line. We're probably not over the limit at all.
Well, I'll need to run more tests, I guess.
Look, we can't afford to spend a lot of time and a lot of money double-checking everything. This isn't college, David. This is business.
These heavy metals are serious business. This is arsenic and lead we're talking about.
I've been doing this for 15 years, and it looks okay to me.
But I'm the one that's ultimately responsible to the city. And I need to know that the data I'm signing off on is accurate. Now, I suspect that at peak production, we are releasing a lot more arsenic and lead than they can handle downstream.
Look, you don't know that. The data doesn't tell us anything about what's going on downstream. Look, if we were causing a problem, we would have heard about it from the water people, right? I mean, it's their responsibility, you know. They tell us what they want coming out of our pipes, and then it's their job.
Look, I don't want to fight you on this, boss, but I don't like it. It's my name that goes on those reports. I'm going to have to talk to Tom Richards about this.
Fine. Talk to Richards, and if he agrees, then we'll do something about it. Just don't have it billed to Frank's department, okay?
Sure.
No one outside of Z-Corp knows more about their pollution problems than Tom Richards, an independent water treatment engineer and consultant to the company for many years. He designed and then monitored the operation of the company's water treatment systems. Is Z-Corp discharging illegal amounts of heavy metals into the sewer system?
In my opinion, yes. Not large amounts, but definitely over the limits. We didn't know about it for years because the test we were using didn't have adequate sensitivity. But a year ago, Z-Corp engineers came to me with data that they'd collected, which indicated that they were discharging more arsenic and lead than the city regulations allowed.
So Mr. Richards used a new and expensive test to measure more accurately the discharge levels. He informed Z-Corp officials that changes were necessary.
Philport said that Z-Corp didn't need to upgrade its water treatment plant. He said that Z-Corp could pass the inspections based on the less sensitive test method, a method that is specified by the regulations. He felt that the company wasn't doing anything illegal since he hadn't been contacted by the water treatment department.
What happened next?
For a few months, business went on as usual. Then I was fired. They said that I was too expensive and that they had staff people who could do what I was doing just as well and cheaper. In my opinion, I was fired because I insisted that they spend money to improve their water treatment system.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Richards, but there really isn't anything more to discuss. Your arguments are well taken, but we can't just keep throwing money at the problem. We have our own staff people now, and your services are no longer required. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have another meeting.
Well, I think we all have other things to move on to.
You guys can't be serious. You need me, Phil, and you know it. David just isn't experienced.
Now, wait just a minute.
You've got a serious problem here. This plant is dumping heavy metals into a water treatment system that simply can't handle them.
I don't think we are, Tom. I mean, data from the test system the city requires shows we're within acceptable limits.
The test is flawed, and you know it, and you know it too. The test isn't sensitive enough to accurately reflect the levels. And you don't have to be a Winslow Mazin to see that either. Your name is on the document that goes to the city, so you'd better be very sure of yourself.
Does it matter what kind of waste a company discharges into a sewer? That's what a sewer is for. However, each individual sewer system is capable of handling only certain waste products.
Materials such as arsenic and lead are poisons, and they build up in the soils and in the body over a period of time. I knew that the water treatment people were using the old test and that they might not be able to detect the change in levels. I've since pointed this out to them, but they are, for a number of reasons, unable to switch to the new test now.
This is a drying field for Gilbane gold. Gilbane gold is more to the city of Gilbane than a handy way to rid itself of sludge. It's a moneymaker the city has learned to rely on. The average family of four would have to pay $300 a year more in taxes if the revenue from the sludge needed to be replaced. Our requests for interviews with city water treatment officials have been declined. However, they have offered us this statement. Our legal advisors have suggested that we delay comment concerning this ongoing investigation.
I don't know if I can really trust Gilbane Gold anymore. Up to now, the level of metals in the sludge really haven't been very dangerous. Well, nobody knows for sure. But most likely, the levels have been low enough that it really doesn't matter very much. But the heavy metals, they don't degrade. They tend to build up in the soil for decades. I wouldn't want my grandchildren or anybody's children poisoned in the future because we fail to contain the problem when we have the chance.
I have not seen data that shows that Z Corp's discharges will contaminate the sludge. And let's not forget that the city's regulations are much stricter than the federal government's.
Does that mean we should look the other way, change our limits, or not enforce the regulations?
Of course not. But the case against Z Corp is not clear-cut. At present production levels, even if Tom Richards is correct, my research shows that it would take 100, perhaps 200 years before the accumulations would cause a problem.
And if production were to be increased 2- or 3-fold, what effect might the toxic substances have on farmers' fields?
Well, then we might have a problem.
Channel 13's Up Close will continue. Stay tuned to find out.
Congratulations, Frank. I heard you pulled off quite a coup.
Well, we had to fight for every nickel of it. It wasn't easy.
Toco Computers and Z-Corp Systems announced today a joint venture to produce control modules, and the man responsible for Z-Corp's success is Frank Cedars.
Hey, congratulations. I heard a rumor of something really big, but I didn't know
Well,
what
does
it was.
mean? Is it going to double production?
Well, it's possible that in the next 5 years we could increase production 500%. But our margin is so thin that the whole process is going to have to be streamlined. We're going to have to run one tight shop to make those cost projections.
That's what business is all about.
David, I want to get together with you and really make this thing work. We're going to have to really pitch in, okay?
Congratulations, Frank.
Thanks. Yeah, congratulations. Look, we may have a serious problem here, Phil. We're going to have to invest some serious dollars into water treatment.
Look, it's real simple, David. Just do some calculations on how much more filtration we need with increased flow, so we don't pass the concentration allowed by discharge.
Well, we'll still be putting out a lot of poison, Phil, and you know it. A lot more than they can handle downstream. Now, why can't we just go to the city and talk to them, alert them to the situation?
Look, if you can solve this problem without spending a lot of extra money, people are going to view you in a completely different light. You know, this may be your opportunity to shine. Dave, it's Phil. I'm kind of glad you're not home because that means you're missing the hatchet job 13 is doing on us. Boy, they're making me out to be some sort of environmental rapist. I don't know where they got some of this stuff. Call me later, will you? Okay.
And if production were to be increased 2- or 3-fold, what effect might the toxic substances have on farmers' fields?
Well, then we might have a problem.
The professor was prophetic. At the time of this interview last week, no one outside of a few employees knew of the landmark business arrangement between the Japanese computer giant Toko and the U.S.-based Z-Corp. Inside information released to Channel 13 estimates that production at Z-Corp's Gilbane plant will increase 500% in the next 5 years. And with increased production comes increased discharges of lead and arsenic.
Right now, Z-Corp is slightly over the amount allowed by the city. And that's a problem, a serious problem. But any increase in production will only make the problem worse. And there's a major loophole in the law.
The laws were written to limit the amount of dangerous chemicals per discharge. Now, using rough layman's terms, that's 1 ounce of lead and 1 ounce of arsenic in 1 million gallons of water. But the loophole is that as long as the concentration is not increased, they can discharge as much water as they like. Now, 5 times as much water discharged at that concentration means 10 ounces of toxic material instead of just 2. So that means that new legislation needs to be written, or else Z-Corp and others, they can legally poison the sludge.
You are telling me that now that the product line is starting to make money, we have to spend it on new water treatment equipment? Are we still in compliance with city regulations?
Technically, yes. But with the increased production anticipated,
Have we heard from the Gilbane water treatment people? No. Are we in the sludge business? No. You don't even know if the sludge will be unsafe. Now, the problem, as I see it, is not with the city, but with my environmental affairs department. Now, I want solutions, and that does not mean spending money we can't afford.
You just don't get it, do you, Diane? We are dumping poison into the city sewer system. Now, whether the law allows it or not, that poison is going to collect in substantial amounts in the sludge, and that'll be passed on to the farmers.
Dave, I think you're overreacting. I gotta go along with Diane on this.
Look, Dave, I eat vegetables too. I would not intentionally poison anyone any more than you would. But you don't have the data to substantiate your concerns. We are within city regs now, and will continue to be until the city council changes the law.
I think we have a broader responsibility to the public.
You are exactly right. We provide this city with thousands of jobs and a substantial tax base. We are in the computer business. They are in the sludge business. They can stop selling it if they think it's dangerous.
Mr. Jackson, I'd just like to ask you a couple of quick questions. This is David Jackson, the engineer in charge of waste treatment for Z-Corp. His job and its responsibilities are at the center of the controversy. The city attorney has sent Mr. Jackson a letter requesting him to meet with the city's engineers. They mean business. I quote, "Failure to comply will necessitate an injunction against Z-Corp and possible criminal charges against you personally," end quote.
No
Mr. Jackson.
comment. Please, give me a break. Okay, off camera, all right?
Turn it off.
Look, I haven't done anything wrong. Now, I'm trying to get them to listen to me, but the more you hound us, the more resistant they're going to be. And the worse the whole thing's going to get.
Would you speak to me off the record just to get your side of the story?
Maybe. I don't know. Look, I got to think about it. There's some people I got to talk to about this. I'll call you one way or the other. I just don't know what to do. I'm responsible to the city, but I'm completely powerless to stop what's happening.
Dave, you've got to go public with that information. That's the only way to stop it.
If I go public, I lose my job, and nobody is going to hire a whistleblower. Now, if this thing goes to court and I side with the company, I'm on record as certifying data that I suspected was incorrect, and I lose my license.
Winslow, what are we talking about here? Forcing Z-Corp to... upgrade their water treatment system. That's not going to break their back.
Who are we to make the decision for them?
Is it the company's fault the law allows this much poison?
The law is flawed.
That's not our responsibility. It's the city's.
You got to go with your conscience on this. I mean, people might get hurt, and you're going to have to live with it.
But if you go public, you'll most certainly lose your job. Tom, we go back a long way, but I don't agree with you. I don't think David should go public. Isn't there somebody above Diane you could speak to?
I wish there was.
Suppose we send this to the Engineering Society and let the experts sort out the details.
By the time they got to a decision, the damage would be done.
What was the name of that reporter?
Renato. Maria Renato.
And you better give him the name of a good lawyer, too.
Z-Corp's lawyers and the city attorney are now locked in negotiations in an effort to stop the pollution. But there are broader questions left unanswered. Should we lure companies to town and then pass regulations so strict that they are unable to profitably produce products? Should companies be allowed to fulfill the letter of the law while knowingly violating its principle? Have we already been poisoned? The more we learn about the heavy metal contamination of the city's sludge, the less clear the controversy becomes. As a matter of fact, it's about as murky as the sewers themselves.
Hi, this is Dave. I can't
Thanks
answer
for
the phone
watching.
right now. Lisa,
I'm Maria Renato.
David, this is Dan Martin. We've met. I'm a lawyer at Z-Corp. Diane Collins asked me to call you. She wondered if you were free to have a meeting about 9:30 tomorrow morning. Something about this television thing. Give me a call later. Have a nice night.